Hi, everyone. I'm Gillian Klitter, the Associate Director of Golden Key in Southern Africa. And I'm excited to see how many participants are joining. While we are waiting for everybody to get into this room today, you can use the chat function at the bottom of your screen and tell me who you are and what university you are from. Thank you. I see we are still letting a lot of people into the room. For those of you waiting, remember to use the chat function and tell me who you are and what university you are from. Hi, Corey. Corey is from UP. Peter is here from Stellenbosch. Juanita from Northwest University. Sarah from Chicago University of Arizona Global Campus. We have Nasifa from UWC, Rebecca from UCT, Ibrahim from UWC, Taral from FITS, Natasha from UKZN, Vanessa from Northwest University, Nontebeku from Northwest, Andile from UKZN, More Blessing from UJ. We have Melissa from Stellenbosch University, JD from UFS. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. I see you guys are still posting. I'm not going to be able to say hi to every single one because there's quite a number. Darshana from UKZN, Natasha from UP. We have an ex-Vitsi online. Thank you very much, guys. I am happy to see that so many of you have joined us. There are still people ciphering through, but as we wait for them, I am going to start to introduce our speaker for today. We are quite excited to have Dr. Habib Nubai online with us. Habib has more than 10 years experience within the health and sports fraternity. He has been teaching at higher education institutions for over 9 years between undergraduate and postgraduate levels. And he, as a health and sports scientist, is widely published in academia and industry sectors and has presented his work at over 25 conferences locally and internationally since 2012. Habib was also Mr. South Africa in 2017 and has subsequently became a TV presenter for the Lifestyle magazine show in 2018. This really allowed him to adapt and capture different audiences through a multimodal teaching. Habib has also offered 2 TEDx talks. He has vast experience. He is also very modest. He asked us not to convey too much information to you guys today. He wants to really focus on the topic at hand. Habib, we're very happy to have you online with us. I need to add Dr. Nubai is also honorary member of Golden Key Southern Africa, and we're very happy to have you online. I'm going to hand over to you.
Thank you so much for that, Gillian. I did say brief bio, but I really appreciate the introduction. Thank you so much. It's so great to be here. So good to see a fantastic turnout, and it really is a privilege for me to be here today to communicate about a burning question that we're really facing today. I just want to confirm, Gillian, that you can hear me and that you can see my screen.
I can, absolutely. Looking forward.
Excellent stuff. Great. Thank you so much. Okay, so I think the reason why we structured this webinar today was to really ask this burning question. I mean, with COVID-19 going on, with everything that's going around in our own life, in our individual challenges that we're embracing, that's the burning question that we have, is how do we optimize productivity, time, and energy by 40% in the digital era? And so for me, that's for me. I want to try and see how we can answer that question today. So in order to answer the question, what we really need to ask ourselves is, what is stamina? And what is the origin of stamina? Now, when I talk about stamina, I'm not just talking about hiking up a mountain or how many push-ups you can do. I'm not talking about anything of that from a physical activity or exercise perspective. I'm talking about comfort zone. And you would have seen this picture quite a lot of times, that the more we spend in our comfort zone, the less likely we are able to grow. When we are able to step out of our comfort zone and challenge ourselves and embrace ourselves into different environments, that's what we know that is where the magic happens. So the more we are able to step out of that comfort zone, even during periods like this that can be so challenging and overwhelming, that's where we also see growth. But aside from growth, we are also witnessing different forms of transformation, and it allows us to give a sense of self-awareness and reflection in terms of what's going on internally and what do we need to do in order to move forward. And I think that's the burning question that many people have right now. But stamina is governed by different principles, and these principles vary, and I think we can all define it in a different way. And these are principles ranging from proactivity, endurance, having a good temperament, strength, power, and never say die attitude, looking at consistency, even patience, or willpower, perseverance, speed, mindset, and even self-awareness. Now, you can probably think of various other types of principles that can govern stamina, but when we look at these kind of principles, we need to always ask ourselves, how do we keep in check in terms of moving forward? A lot of the things that I hear from people that I work with or that I collaborate with is, I'm tired, I'm busy, and I'm fatigued, right? If you guys are feeling that way, perhaps, put a message on the chat box. Let's see, let's understand what you guys are going through. But this is what I'm really getting when I work with people, is especially during this time, it's burnout, it's being too tired, it's fatigue. How do they go from one point to the next? And I think that's the kind of challenge. We need to understand what the problem is. In order to understand what the potential solution might be. So I want to paint a picture. Now, you guys probably can recognize this is Mount Everest, and that's the peak of the mountain. And in South Africa, for those of you who have joined in from different parts of the world, welcome. This is Table Mountain, which is one of the flattest peaks in the world, which is not as high as Mount Everest. Now, there's a difference between these two images, okay? What I can tell you from an endurance perspective is that to climb most of Mount Everest, it would be a steep walk. All right, a steep walk. But to climb Table Mountain, which would take a lot less time, is a steep climb. Now, for others, a steep walk may be enduring, and for others, a steep climb may also be enduring. So in this instance, stamina can be defined in different ways. And so what is the message from the slide? The message is that individuality and uniqueness resides within us. That some challenges we may find enduring, where other challenges we may find comfortable. So we need to understand, okay, well, what are the things that we're doing every day that challenges us, where it's enduring, and see how we can grow in this area and see how we can maintain our strengths in this area. So reflection and areas that are enduring is the first step towards growth, and is the first step towards answering that question, how can you be more productive? How can you get more time? How can you get more energy? And how can you feel less tired, less fatigued, and feel less busy? Let's look at something else from a training perspective. Now, in the training philosophy or in the exercise sciences, there's something which is known as a training threshold. So if you've come to a threshold of a very light threshold, say 50 to 60%, the key is that you don't want to stay at that threshold. You want to keep breaking that threshold so that you can improve and either be fitter, be stronger, be faster, or be more agile. And that's the message, is that once you've reached a certain threshold, you want to go to the next one. And once you've gotten to that threshold, you want to go to the next and the next and the next. And that's the key when it comes to training thresholds. Now, when it comes to stamina, or when it comes to life, when you're breaking the curve through different types of challenges, it's not about staying at that particular threshold. It's about trying to break it through the next one and the next one and the next one. And when you are able to have that kind of momentum, which is known as a breakthrough, that's when growth happens. But now the problem in this time is that people are finding it challenging to break through those kind of thresholds. How do we keep going on? A close person to ours is sick. A close person to ours has passed on. We've lost our job during the COVID-19 pandemic, or Our health has taken a bad turn for the worse. We're not as productive. We're feeling too overwhelmed. We're juggling too many things. There's so many different challenges. So how are we able to break through that threshold one step at a time? So let's keep this as a mental picture. Let's use a different analogy. I know some of you may be doctors or even medical students or even qualified doctors or specialists on this call, but there's something which is known as medical stamina. Now, when medical students train to become a doctor in their fourth, fifth, or sixth year, or in their final years, they have to do long rotations at hospitals, or they're on call, or they have to do different blocks, which can be quite enduring. 18 hours, 24 hours, sometimes 36 hours, but that's not trained. That is usually bred within their training. And almost they are putting to this deep end that you've got to do this, and certain people are able to adjust, to adapt into different ways in order to get used to that kind of pattern. Now, the problem with this is one of the things that doctors really suffer from is not just fatigue, physical or mental fatigue, it's sleep time. And there are different ways to go about doing it. I mean, some of them don't have any sleep during this call hours, some of them do. But the message from this slide is we're not born to kind of understand this kind of medical stamina. Those who undergo medical training or become a doctor, this is a stamina, this is a form of behavior that is bred and that is cultivated within a routine, because it has taken them from a sense of comfort to a sense of endurement, and how they have been able to endure these long hours of working. In a similar scenario, surgeons who need to perform surgeries on patients for so many hours or for such a long period of time, and to have the mental concentration to be with that patient for so long, that's stamina. That's medical stamina in itself. Again, something that's not really trained, but a sense of which they had to come out of their comfort bubble into a sense of endurement in order to keep pushing forward, to get used to it, to establish a sense of routine, to establish a sense of purpose and keep going forward while they are sacrificing on their own health and their own sleep patterns. From a different perspective, if we shift from the medical perspective to the corporate perspective, there's something which we know as a corporate ladder. And many people who enter into the corporate sphere try to climb this corporate ladder, that the further they can climb this ladder, the better careers and a life they can have for them. What if I told you that a vast majority of people who try to climb the corporate ladder do not go beyond this point at managerial level, they stay there. And so the question here is, do they have a lack of stamina to keep going from this point and beyond? And so how are they able to migrate from a sense of comfort to a sense of endurement in order to really go forward? Some people may not want to be at the top of the corporate ladder. Some people may just want to have an ordinary life and do what they are supposed to so that they can really enjoy the things in life, and that's okay. But each of us have different goals. But how do we communicate this essence of corporate stamina when a vast majority of people will not go beyond this threshold? This is the threshold that many people are struggling to face. So I want to paint a different picture for you, and that is, if I can just move this toggle over here right up. So if we could reduce the world's population to a village of precisely 100 people with all existing human ratios remaining the same, what would the demographics look like? Well, what we can see here is that 60% would be Asian, 12 European, 5 would be US Americans or Canadians, 8 would be Latin Americans, and 14% Africans. Out of those, 51 would be male, 49 would be female, 82 would have dark skin color, 18 would have light skin color, 89 would be heterosexual, 11 homosexual. And out of those people, 80% would be living in substandard housing, 24 out of 100 would not have any electricity, and of the 76% that do have electricity, most should only be using that for light at night. 67% would be unable to read. Only 1 out of 100 would have a college education. Now, if you're coming through a platform such as Golden Key, you can easily say that out of 100 people, you are one of them that have a college education. And that's a devastating stat. Furthermore, 50 out of 100 would be malnourished and 1 dying of starvation. In addition to that, 33 out of 100 would be without access to a safe water supply. 1 out of 100 people would have HIV. 1 out of 100 would be near death. 2 out of 100 would be near birth. and 10 out of 100 people who'd have access to the internet. We know this number is slightly being increased because of internet access. But when we look at all of these other stats, this is a burning question. Has a lack of stamina and action led to these concerning stats? Now, in the pandemic, what we've been able to understand is a number of these stats and more information that we weren't aware about is starting to come to the fold, because COVID-19 has really painted a different picture and has allowed us to see different stats and different information exposures that we weren't previously aware about. And so when we're looking at the world that we're living in our community, in our society, how do we keep going forward when this is the reality that we live with, right? And for us as Golden Key members, it's so important for us to understand, because the three banners for that is academics, leadership, and service. So how are we able to contribute to all these three parameters when we have these problems beside us, not just within us or within our own life, but within the environment, within the landscape that we're working in? So some of the pointers that I can share with you in order to overcome that question very briefly is either for yourself or even for your team, is when it comes to productivity, you need to have a diary. And I know that we currently reside in this digital era where we can try and take mental notes or even try and take notes on our devices. But neuroscience has confirmed that when we are able to write things down, write it out, and scratch it out once it's done, it gives a sense of fulfillment and milestone achievements for that particular list. So say, for example, you've got a to-do list of 10 things or 15 things, and you've written all of those things down to do for the day. And once you've scratched each thing out, it really creates a sense of fulfillment and accomplishment within your head and within your brain, that it keeps allowing you to move further and further and further. And in the study of psychology, or even sports psychology, that is known as achievement motivation. That once you've achieved a small goal, you are now motivated to go to the next one and the next one and the next one. Once you've achieved a bigger goal, it now motivates you to go to even bigger goal. So having a diary, do not underestimate that, because a to-do list from a neuroscientific perspective, it really allows you to understand and have a sense of fulfillment in the things that you do, whether it's daily or whether it's even on a monthly basis. You really have to have a sense of self-reflection or even self-awareness, and ask yourself at the end of that day, what did you do today? How much did I do? Now, how much you did in terms of quantity may not correlate to what you did from a qualitative perspective. And so it may be well and good that person A did 15 things, but person B only did 5 things. But you've got to ask yourself, were those 5 things more qualitative than those 15 things? So it's not always about how much we did, but it's what we specifically did that created impact or contributed towards our purpose, and even with creating a sense of fulfillment within us. So we've got to really reflect and ask those self-awareness questions on a daily basis. This is my favorite question. What did you do for others? Now, a lot of people will say, why should we help others in need when we ourselves have our own challenges within our own life? Why should I help someone else in need? I'll tell you why. When you help someone in need, when you see a problem that they're facing and you helping them, you have created a sense of fulfillment within you, because you have witnessed a positive transformation in someone else's life through acts of kindness, through humanitarianism, through helping someone. And by doing that, it creates a sense of fulfillment within you, because you've witnessed someone else's positive transformation. So in return, you've actually did a lot more for yourself than you've actually done for someone else. So that's a question that you've got to ask yourself every day is, aside from you or your family or even your team, what did you do for others? A random act of kindness, helping someone without them asking you to do so. Being a proactive leader, taking the proactivity and the leadership to really do something that is of meaning and that's going to be accentuating your purpose. From a different angle, what you also need to know on a daily basis is that physical activity and exercise, as well as healthy eating, are fuels to being motivated. So for example, right now, as I'm presenting this webinar to you, I'm standing because the literature has shown that sedentary behavior is really a devastating factor that contributes towards all-cause mortality. And so we need to increase our standing time, because as human beings, we've been built to stand and to lie down, not to sit. And ever since the chair has been invented, sedentary behavior has increased. And with that, non-communicable diseases has increased as well. And within this remote working culture that we're working in, currently within the pandemic, irrespective of which country you're in, we have now seen that sedentary behavior has increased, non-communicable diseases have increased, people's immunity to COVID has decreased, and it's creating a cluster of issues from a health or from a lifestyle perspective. So aside from just standing while working with intermittent breaks, you also really need to look at physical activity and how much of physical activity are you doing on a daily basis. So that's really important. The other aspect is eating. We've all got different types of sugar cravings, different types of cheap kind of ingredients that we want to get our mouths in. But once we realize that eating is the kind of fuel and the energy that we put within, that usually results in the energy that we put out. It's quite simple. The fuel that you put in the car is going to be dependent on how the car performs with the fuel that you have given that particular car. And it's the same thing with us from a physiological perspective. The type of energy or fuel that we put in is going to be an outcome, or it's going to result in a way in how we are going to deliver certain tasks and how we are going to feel. Now, a lot of us say, or they tell me they feel tired, they feel lethargic. They've actually had 8 hours of sleep, but they're still feeling tired. They're feeling stressed. What if I told you that by focusing on these patterns, which is not easy, I understand, but if you focus on these modifications in terms of exercise and eating, it significantly contributes towards giving you a lot more energy, feeling less stressed, feeling less tired, and most importantly, improving your productivity. So in a nutshell, exercise and eating are fuels to being motivated, but being motivated is the fuel to becoming productive. So I spoke about achievement motivation. And with achievement motivation, if you're able to achieve those particular things in your life through exercise and eating, and once you've achieved a sense of motivation and purpose, and you've now said, okay, well, I have a positive fulfillment because I've been able to tick off those lists, but I've also been able to make a difference in other people's lives. I've been able to do good at my work. I've been able to do good within my own personal life. I've been able to do well with my family and spend more time with them. Now you take that as a sense of achievement motivation, and that is the fuel to becoming a lot more productive and saving time. So there's a cascade effect. When we are able to address our lifestyle factors, we see how it affects positively other areas within our life, especially during a time like now, during a pandemic. So again, it's important to stand at work or wherever you are, and because sitting does promote lethargy. It actually decreases the amount of oxygen to the brain, decreasing blood supply, and that's why you're feeling less energy, and that's why you're more inclined to yawn while you are sitting as opposed to while you are yawning. And that's completely directly correlated to oxygen supply. So when you are tired, it's because your body needs more oxygen. And that's what sleeping really does. It doesn't really recharge our bodies like it recharges our devices. It really allows our bodies to return to a state of which is something which is known as homeostasis. And homeostasis refers to an equilibrium of balance, a state of balance. And that's why we need to really try and focus on standing a lot more. Get up every 15 to 30 minutes. It's very hard to stand up all the time. You really got to have those kind of intermittent breaks and that can really assist you. Additional pointers that I'd like to share, and that is 4 things in combination that really has an impact when it comes to productivity and energy and even time, is laughter. We really need to try and laugh at least about 3 things a day, all right? Crack a joke, even if it's cheesy, even if it's corny, just laugh. Because laughter is really good, and laugh as much as you can. The kind of endorphins that are released with laughter is fantastic, and it actually promotes energy. It increases your mood. It allows a more efficient blood flow and oxygen supply. So laughter is important. With that, financial wellness in the sense of money is also really important. And if you are able to keep that in check, if you are able to manage your finances and have a decent level and knowledge of financial literacy, that's also going to contribute towards your daily activities of living in an optimal way. The third thing is kindness. And I think I spoke about that acts of kindness and creating a sense of fulfillment within you is also really important. And lastly, job satisfaction. You really need to be happy in what you're doing. You really need to understand what you want to do and what really makes you happy. And I think that's the real question that, or the real thing that a lot of people want is happiness. Happiness through job satisfaction, happiness through these various aspects of things that contribute towards our purpose and even contributes to our interests and the different types of experiences. And you shouldn't be it's really up to you, but ideally you shouldn't be quantifying job satisfaction with how much money you earn. Now, understand that job satisfaction could possibly be correlated to financial wellness. But what if I told you that happiness is a marker for success and for fulfillment a lot more than how much money you have? So I would rather put a lot more emphasis on how satisfied and happy you are within certain things that you're doing, rather than just focusing on different types of markers from a financial perspective. Now, it's completely up to you. But what I'm trying to say with this particular point is that the four of these in combination really contribute significantly towards productivity, time, and energy. There's a quote in business that I want to talk about, which says, pay attention to your clients first and not the business. Now, irrespective of which particular field you're in, whether you're in healthcare and the client could be defined as a patient. In the university, if you're teaching, it could be defined as a student. If you're in high school and you're teaching, it could be defined as a pupil. If you're in business, of course, or in law, it could even be defined as a client. But irrespective of the type of people that you work with, you really have to pay attention to your clients and not necessarily the business. You have to focus on it, but the clients do come first. But my message and my experience of working with people was, they didn't realize that if they weren't paying attention to themselves first, they weren't in a better position to pay attention to their clients. So you really can't put yourself out into the workplace if you haven't focused on yourself first internally. So pay attention towards yourself first. It's not a selfish act. It's you taking responsibility for your well-being, for your wellness. Often at times we wear this badge of honor that says, I'm too busy. It doesn't mean that you're well. Being too busy does not mean that you're too well. And being too well doesn't mean that you are less busier. So you've really got to focus on and pay attention to yourselves first before you pay attention to those that you're working with. If you do that, if you focus on yourself first and then focus on the people that you work with, they will then pay attention to the work that you do. But there are also visual cues that you need to pick up, not just with yourselves or with your peers or with people that you work with within your family, but anyone. And there are visual cues. Body language says a lot about a person, okay? And that really gives cues in terms of how they are, how well they are, how happy they are. Are they thinking too much? Are they stressed? Are they procrastinating, etc.? Body language really gives different types of cues of where people are and what different types of measures could be done in order to assist them. This is also another visual marker. Some people may listen to you, but they try not to show that they're yawning. So they kind of internally yawn, but then you can see that their eyes are teary. That is a sign that they're either tired or they're stressed about something, or they could be they could have had a reaction which was emotional for them. But most of the time when you see that, those kinds of observations in terms of teary eyes and how they're looking at you, that's an observation in terms of how well they are. And you've got to understand that for your own self as well. If you are coming at 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or even 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're starting to develop teary eyes while you're working, it's a sign that you're tired. And if you're tired at that kind of time, ask yourself why, what changed? And what things do you need to do that's even better in order to feel less tired and less busier? So there's only so much that I can go through with you within a webinar. It's already 30 minutes into the webinar, and there's so much of information that I'd like to share with you. But you've got to ask these kind of questions in order to reflect in terms of what is stopping you. Is it boredom, lacking temperament, lack of motivation, emotional intelligence, failing to plan? looking for a quick fix, time management or priority management, being impatient, having too many priorities, just being in the here and the now, feeling stressed, either being fatigued or tired. You've got to really ask yourself, what is stopping you? What is making you not progress? What is making you go slower than what you would thought that you could even be even going faster? Sometimes we just feel we're going slower than what we could be going even faster. So you really have to ask the question, what is really stopping you? And that answer for you may not even be on the slide, but you've got to internally reflect. Aside from asking what is stopping you, you've got to ask, how does one get to the next point to continue, especially during this time? Do we just look at what we're passionate about? Do we understand what's endurement? Do we know how to make a difference between want and needs, what we enjoy, having a never say die attitude, only focusing on the positive aspects in life, focusing on good relationships, which is important, intrinsic motivation to go and drive forward, having consistency, a good willpower, mindset and self-awareness, or even perseverance. So there's so many things that we could ask ourselves, that how do we go to the next point to continue? But that's not enough. We've got to do a lot more than that. And so for that reason, I've created an online course so that it can help you to carry this conversation a lot more further, because there's so much information that I can give you within a short space of time. But this online course that I've created in partnership with Golden Key will give you solution-focused, individualized tools and skills that will enhance your productivity, time, and energy in the digital era. And that's an online course that I've focused on. So why should you do this course? Well, for many of us, the stresses that we've endured during the pandemic have resulted in us questioning our productivity, time, energy, and even our priorities. This course is unique because it will focus on tailored and solution-focused enhancements in your life, work, and even with your health. Specifically, this course will provide you with templates, activities, and reflections that will allow you to rechannel your daily habits, optimize your time and productivity, and improve your energy and fulfill your purpose. And that's what the course that I've done will do for you. It will provide you with these tailored types of activities and templates that you will do as an activity that will allow you to reflect and understand, what needs to be done, what needs to be changed, what things need to be enhanced so that certain things in my life can be optimized. And so that's the main reason for why many people who do this course. So let me share a time hack with you. Did you know that 5% of your day is 1 hour and 12 minutes? All right. So if you divide your time, your day by 20% or even by 5%, 5% of your day is 1 hour and 12 minutes. So for this webinar, for example, today, you have contributed 5% of your day. All right. Doing this course, looking at different modeling, by optimizing your productivity and energy by 40%, will thereby potentially save approximately 10 hours of time per week. And that's a lot. When we look at that kind of aspects of how busy we are and so many things that's going on and so many goals that we have, whether it's career, financial goals, whatever goals we have, if we can, the more hours we can save in a day to be more productive and have more energy, that's a lot, and that's significant. So the curriculum, although the outline is divided into 6 different modules. The module 1 goes through in terms of getting started, regulating our temp, and I'll discuss what temp is right now, the workplace and the environment, looking at your habits, depth of your work and making an impact, summing it all up, and I'll offer you even some bonus resources. So looking at the first module, let me just put this down over here. So getting started, we go through a welcome aspect. The Unit 1 covers concepts of productivity, purpose, priority, and lifestyle management. And then there's also a podcast in terms of how you could lead a productive lifestyle. And then there's the first activity, which is the PI flow chart. Now, PI focuses on your purpose, your interests, and enjoyment. That's what PI stands for. It stands for what is your purpose, what are you interested in, and what do you enjoy? Then we move to module 2, which is regulating our temp. And temp stands for time, energy, money, and productivity. So how are we able to manage our temp? And Unit 2 focuses on the 3 commodities of time, energy, and money, which equals to productivity. Unit 3 focuses on 5 key parameters influencing productivity. And then podcast 2 focuses on influencing of good health on productivity. And Unit 4, finding value, is with the 3 commodities in terms of time, energy, and money, and how that can contribute towards having a productive lifestyle. Then there's a number of activities that you've got to do. We take you through your income and financial diversification matrix, and we live in a world where diversification is at its peak. So how are you able to diversify your time to contribute towards this particular matrix? Lifestyle and energy management funnel, where we try to funnel different activities that you're doing in your lifestyle that will bring out the best energy within your work and within your life. In terms of the priority management funnel, we also focus on a funnel in terms of how are you able to prioritize certain things and funnel it down to what's really important and to what's urgent and what's more important and urgent for you. And then lastly, we come down to a matrix that focuses on time, energy, and money, which contributes towards productivity. So that's covered in module 2. When we look at module 3, we're now going into the workplace and in the environment. And unit 5 focuses on productivity and stamina in the workplace, which is an extension of what we've discussed today. Unit 6 is applying different types of stress management rules that can promote productivity. And how are we able to manage stress? How are we able to overcome stress? Unit 7 focuses on productivity while remote working. And remote working has really taken a shift now, whether you're going to be going into office on a hybrid form, whether you work remotely or whether you're working at home, irrespective, how do we focus on various cues that's going to promote productivity while we're working remotely? Unit 8 focuses on optimal ergonomics and posture that thereby results in optimized productivity. And then podcast 3 focuses on staying healthy in the workplace. And that moves on to module 4, where we focus on habits, depth, and impact. And unit 9 focuses on rechanneling our habits is the cornerstone for productivity. Unit 10 is how to experience impact in your work and focus on the things that really are going to give you the most impact in what you do and what you're passionate about. And unit 11, we get to understand why 10,000 hours of delivered practice may not make you an expert. And there's a notion that if you focus on 10,000 deliberate hours, that will make you an expert. And that particular unit showcases why that isn't the case. And then lastly, unit 12 shows that acts of kindness in humanitarianism fuels productivity, purpose, and performance. And then lastly, with module 5, we have a reflection and action template. And more importantly, we've got a productivity canvas. And the productivity canvas will really give you some sort of insight in terms of how you can accentuate and enhance your productivity, time, and energy within the digital era. Some bonus resources. We share a video in terms of how happiness and success are products of optimized productivity, how sport and exercise can make one wealthy. Now, you may not be partaking in sport, but even if you partake in exercise or physical activity, we focus on all the different types of wealth. And it's not just economic wealth, it's different types of wealth. There's actually 7 different types of wealth. And so we cover that there. And then there's also access to my ebook that you can read, and you can also give some feedback and evaluation on the particular course. So these are the kind of templates that we're going through. So within the course, you'll have priority, energy, and lifestyle management funnels, and you will learn how to develop your own priority, energy, and lifestyle management funnels. These will factor in various parameters that influence deep work and energy, as well as activities that can be funneled as negotiables and or non-negotiables. And that's what's really to understand is what are your negotiables and what are your non-negotiables. And then we've got the temp and income and financial diversification matrices, and important matrices which will be imperative for planning, action, and evaluation. And these are your income and financial diversification matrix, and as well as your temp matrix, which talks about time, energy, money, and productivity. And then lastly, we've got the most important canvas, which is the productivity canvas, which is a daily canvas and a monthly canvas, which allows you to manage and optimize your productivity, time, energy, priorities, and finances efficiently, both on a daily and a monthly basis. It includes key questions, checkboxes, and activities that is imperative for reflection and self-awareness. So there's a number of activities and a number of resources that are embedded within this course. And some of the frequently answered questions that I get for this course is, when does the course start and finish? Well, the course starts now and never ends. It is a completely self-paced online course. Whenever you have time to do it, you do it at your own pace, at your own time, and you decide when you start and when you want to finish the course. How long do you have access to the course? Well, you have access to the course for life. You'll have lifetime access to the course unless the internet breaks or all the web platforms one day breaks, then you won't. So for as long as there's internet and there's a web-based platform, you will have lifetime access to the online course. After enrolling, you have unlimited access. So it's the course for as long as you like and across any and all your devices. So most of the time, you probably access the course on your desktop, but you'll also have access to the course on your phone as well if you want to have access to the course. So I really need to paint what the value of this course is, because I've been able to develop this course now over the last few years. It wasn't a course that was just developed overnight. This is really trying to funnel all my experiences, my personal experiences and my different engagements with different people and industries all into one, and give something of value to people in order to help people. And I couldn't find a better affiliating partner than Golden Key to do this, because Golden Key really thrives on those three important pillars, which is academics, leadership, and service. So the course value, it's valued, that's not the cost. It's valued at just under $2,000. And with these other activities, the pie flow chart is valued at $27. The income in financial diversification is valued at $97. The lifestyle energy management funnel is valued at $197. The priority management funnel is valued at $147. The temp matrix is valued at $247, which, I mean, these are all activities that have taken a while to develop based on trial and error. The productivity canvas is valued at $290. The reflection and self-awareness template is valued at $147. And all bonus resources that I offer is also valued at $350, which gives a total price of $3,500. But that's not what we're offering you the course at. So that's the value of the course, but obviously we're not offering you that course because that would be too much. So because of this partnership with Golden Key, we've decided in order to help people and to cover expenses, we would give a significant discount. And there's a 92% discount for it, which comes at $297 for the course. But there is a but. Because you are part of Golden Key, you get a further 20% off with this unique coupon code. It's a limited coupon code for Golden Key members. And so the final offer for the course is $238. Okay. So I'm happy to take any questions if there are. I see we do have a couple of questions from the audience. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for you as well, Habib. I have a question from Aliyah saying, what advice would you give a UKZN law student that's working and studying full time?
So that's a great question. It's not just about time management these days. It's about priority management. And the reason is we all have 24 hours in the day, right? So you can't really manage time. We live within a sense of time, but you've got to manage your priorities within the time that we all have. So we've all got 24 hours in the day, but it's how we are able to better manage your priorities in that way. And that's why this course has created that priority management funnel so that you can really funnel what's so important and urgent for you. And I think that's why we felt that this collaboration was so important for the members, is because we get this all the time. Many people are working and studying at the same time. And we've all done that. We've all learned different mistakes. And it's really important to funnel down those different priorities, and so that you are able to maximize your time and your energy.
I think that is very valuable, Habib. I also want to give you some comments that our members shared during today's session. They all wanted to know if the recording will be available, and it will be available on both our side and Habib's side for you guys to review and go through it again. If you guys want to, go through it at your own pace, I think that's very important. Then we did post the link into the comments section or into the chat for the course. You'll receive a mail. All of our members will receive a mail at about 5 today with all of the details regarding this course as well, and the discount that you guys will receive for the course. Eddie said, positive talk is important to build self-confidence. We need to love ourselves first to be effective.
Absolutely. That's why I was saying that the more we are able to focus on us internally, the better we are able to put ourselves out to the world. And positive self-talk is correlated with self-awareness. And when we are able to put ourselves in a sense of good self-awareness and reflection, we've got to talk positive things to us. Now, there's something in the world of work which is known as the imposter syndrome, all right,
Yeah.
where people feel that they may not be as competent, they may not be as very good in what they do, they may feel that they have a sense of not making an impact, or they may feel worthless. And that imposter syndrome has such a strong correlation to our mental and physical health. So positive self-talk is imperative, and we've got to keep talking positive things to ourselves. And if you are able to identify your strengths and what your weaknesses are, maximize on your strengths by talking to yourself based on what your strengths are and working with the weaknesses, and continuously learning. None of us know everything. We are in this age now, we're in this knowledge industry age now, where we're always learning new things all the time. And so upskilling yourself, learning new things, investing in yourself, investing in learning, that's so important. And the strength of positive self-talk is also really important. So that's a very good point.
Thanks, Abib. Yes, I really think that is so important. And part of that self-awareness is also your agility, which becomes so important. And I think your course will also touch on that. I also see Mariska said taking a break from her phone makes her feel so much better, which I think is something that you touched on as well. We have a question. Is there a relation between discipline and motivation?
Absolutely. There's a very strong relationship between discipline and motivation. The question is, what comes first? Should you be motivated first, or should you be disciplined first? And so discipline is often cultivated. Motivation is often developed. So once you are able to go through these different types of experiences, you are able to develop different senses of achievement. And that achievement motivation I spoke about contributes to various senses of motivation. And while you have done that, you find your own recipe for success. You find your own recipe of consistency. And that consistency, which gives you experiences or reminds you of good things that have happened, then ensures that you are disciplined for certain things. And so discipline is cultivated. Motivation is developed through these different types of experiences.
That's brilliant. We also have one asking, how can you limit procrastination and manage your time valuably?
Right. So, I mean, that's exactly what the course also focuses on. Is one of the things that we hate, or one of the ugly cousins in the room for productivity, is procrastination. Okay. So the number one thing that the highest, if I can tell you the leading thing for procrastination for any of us is our mobile phone. That's what it is. It's our mobile phone. And when we are able to manage, when we look at our phone, when we respond to messages, when we go on social media, that will improve your procrastination by up to at least 30%. But it's not just our mobile phones. There's devices and technologies around us all the time. We procrastinate because our mind wanders into various types of things. And so one thing I forgot to mention is our brain is not built for multitasking. Okay, we are not built to do a number of things at the same time. So it's just not normal. Now, many people can, and I must admit, females can multitask better than males. I must admit that. But the science has come out to show that multitasking has been busted for anyone. Because the brain, neuroscientifically, it's just not a natural behavior to do 2 or 3 things at the same time. Because then what you're doing is that you're diluting your energy and focus on one particular thing. And that drains yourself. And while you do that, you get caught up on something else, and it takes your attention away from the main task that you were focusing on about. So one of the things to combat procrastination, aside from managing your screen time, is focusing on one thing at a time properly, and then leading to the next once that's done efficiently.
Thank you, Abib. Something that I just thought about while you were speaking about procrastination is, I think there's a big thing about procrastination and whether you're creative and logical thinker, because I think creative people tend to procrastinate in a different way to your logical people. I do agree with cell phones, and I do think your course would be able to help people both in the creative and the logical field. You know, you being a scientist, I have met you and with part of your Mr. South Africa journey. I think a lot of your creativity was channeled in there as well. So I think you're very balanced in the two of those as well. Then I have a
Thanks,
question.
Gillian.
How do you incorporate chronic illness and mental illness with improving your productivity?
Right, so that's a very good question. So on the one hand, someone may have a chronic illness, and I'm assuming that a chronic illness could range from diabetes or obesity or any other type of physical ailment or even a chronic ailment. But at the same time, how do we at the same time focus on our mental health? So that's where our physical and mental states are so important. And that if we are focusing on exercise a lot more, it manages the chronic side. Depending on what the chronic illness could be, it really depends what it is, because the dosage around exercise would need to be altered based on what that particular chronic illness would be. From a mental scenario, your eating, your sleep time, and your lifestyle modifications, that also contributes towards your mental illness. So in order to achieve that sense of balance in terms of managing the chronic or the physical health versus the mental health, all boils down to what we do first. So everything, any illness that someone has, 99% of the time, it's a resultant of what we do in the first place. So if someone is going to constantly have so much of sugar, after 10, 20 years, they're going to be at risk for diabetes. All right. So that's the result. Yeah. Everything we do is a consequence. It has a consequence to what we do. The question is, are we going to respond to treating something that has happened, or are we going to be doing things that are going to prevent a possible risk from happening? We're not in control of many things, but we are in control of de-risking so many things. So when we are focusing on lifestyle modifications, such as those that we've spoken about, we de-risk the chances of us experiencing various chronic illnesses or mental illnesses, etc. And that's what's so important, is to try and de-risk that. But if you focus on exercise, physical activity manages physical illness and physical health. Nutrition and other lifestyle modifications focuses and contributes to mental health and mental illnesses. And that's how we are able to achieve that balance.
Thanks, Habib. I think that actually explains a lot. And I agree, we need to look at ourselves and de-risk a lot. And I think, as you mentioned during your presentation, a lot of us are working from home, and it puts additional stress. And I can see that in some of the questions and the chats coming through. The members feel that they have a lot to do and everything is stressing them. They feel that everything is equally important, even though I know everything isn't necessarily equally important, because there are some stuff that you can put aside and say, I can tackle this after I've done this. You know, it becomes very difficult. And I know time management is a massive thing. It's really important for us to do this. So I am going to ask you one final question. Our time is very limited. I've been getting cues from the rest of the team that we need to wrap it up, but I'm sure we can squeeze one more question in. We have a member saying that I had a traumatic accident in 2018. This had a negative impact on my physical well-being and their focus and motivation. I was derailed. How do I fix this? It's 2021 and I'm still not where I was.
Right. So thanks for sharing that with us, Juliana. It really does depend on what traumatic accident you did have. And I can only imagine the kind of impact that it did have on you and your focus and your physical health and your motivation. You know, often when we are thrown obstacles in life, it's not to derail us. It's to hit the restart button, because we've got to look at things as a wave, right? If we feel we're going to go onto this life catching this wave and it's going to go on like that, that's not the case. For every beginner surfer, those who go and surf on the ocean, for every successful surf that they would catch a wave for, there were 300 falls. And there's so many other analogies that I can use, that in order for you to be having some sort of success, you're going to have some sort of derailment before that. As long as the derailment doesn't have a profound impact on your health, where, you know, people, you know, it changes their life drastically. And I'm talking about a motor vehicle accident that changes people's lives drastically. I'm talking about from a psychological perspective where it has really created a sense of shock or anxiety or any type of mental illness. So I'm not really sure what your incident or accident refers to, but what I can tell you is that when we encounter any obstacles or derailments, any falls, it's a cue for us to click that restart button. And it's a second chance at establishing a newer version of ourselves. And establishing a newer version of ourselves is always important. Our mobile devices, our laptops, never just functions like that for about 5 to 10 years. We constantly need to update our software. So when we have certain things within our life that's positive or negative, it's a cue to us to update our software, to update and rejuvenate our own selves in our own life. So derailments and setbacks and failures and falls and all of these kinds of things is all a cue for us to hit that restart button again. And that's what's so important.
Thank you, Habib. And I think that is actually so valuable for us to have a final thought about this session. I see you are answering the final question that I wanted to ask you. And I think it might be a question that many members have. So I am going to ask you, is it a once-off fee? So should they be saving up to purchase the course, or is there a payment option?
It's a once-off cost. Okay. There's no strings attached to anything like that. There's no what's the thing called in law? I mean, there's no you don't have to read between the lines, or there's no short text or anything like that. It's a once-off cost, and you have lifetime access to the course. If you guys want to establish a payment plan, I think Golden Key and us, we can look into that as well. We're very flexible as long as we are in a position to help as many people as possible. So it's a once-off cost, and we are quite flexible in terms of how you would like to enroll the course. And the coupon code would last until, sorry, I just saw it. I said that the coupon code will last for the next few weeks. And the coupon code is limited. So this offering is for a limited time until the end of September. Yeah. But you would have lifetime access to the course once you've enrolled.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Habib. I want to say thank you for your time and your efforts and everything that you give to Golden Key members as well. And to the members, I want to say thank you for taking the time to attend this. I think this is one of your first steps, is attending sessions like this as well, where you can really reflect and build and just grow yourself into an even more balanced individual. Thank you so much for taking the time. I see we've already run 2 minutes over. You are welcome to review this on our Golden Key YouTube channel, Golden Key Southern Africa. And lastly, thank you to our team for joining as well. And you are welcome to press the red button on the right bottom hand side of your screen to exit the session.